here we go for the final time. We are free! Ultimate contact! A terrible crash! We're in it. And good evening, everybody, and welcome here as we get ready to go racing in Season 10 of the NNSCRA Snickers Cup Series. This is the 9th annual Sprint Unlimited. A lot of events have been leading up to this. It's finally time to turn these drivers loose and see what they've got. This all leading up, of course, to the Great American Race Daytona 500. But here tonight, it is the 9th and final Sprint Unlimited for these drivers. We have had 8 previous Sprint Unlimiteds and 8 previous different race winners of this event. Tonight, could we see our very first 2-time Sprint Unlimited winner? We also have a number of other drivers that got in via pole position or by ending up from last season, or by ending up being the car owner of a driver that last season got a pole position. Those 2 drivers, of course, being Jessica Shelton and Charles Jackson. On the pole for tonight's race, they were the fastest pit crew and driver lap time in the qualifying session. James Qualls, with what was nearly a 1:23 flat, will start on the pole position. He also was second fastest in happy hour last night. Alongside of him is going to be the White Deuce of Dylan Young, who ran a 1:23.1 in qualifying, was just a little over a tenth off from getting the pole position, but he'll start on the outside of row number 1. Charles Sanford, 3-time winner last season, rolls off from the 3rd position, and Cole Daly, who really we didn't see much of in the happy hour session. They might be holding something back under the hood of that Nationwide Chevrolet. He'll roll off from the 4th position. As you take a look and see your starting lineup on the bottom of your screen, let's go down trackside now for the command to fire them up.
Drivers, start your engines!
James Qualls, winless last season. Dylan Young had 1 victory last season. Charles Sanford had 3. Cole Daly had none. All 4 of those drivers and all the other 27 behind them want to get this season started off with a victory. It will be a non-points event, so therefore no points will be awarded, but they'll get bragging rights, they'll get a nice trophy, they'll get a nice check, and a lot of faces, a lot of eyes that'll then be turned towards them as a possible person to watch in the Daytona 500, provided they're a driver that's running full-time this season. A lot of one-off drivers in this field, former winners of this Sprint Unlimited, that's how they got in, including Red Bell, Matthew Rodriguez, Kyle Sosnowski, Logan Wilson. Going to be 15 laps for the first segment, 10 for the second, then the third segment will be 5-lap shootout. If you DNF in one segment, you don't move on to the next one. Here we go, 15 laps here in the segment 1. James Qualls gets us underway at Daytona. I will tell you guys right now, I've done a lot of flip-flopping with Daytona to try and bring about the best racing possible in all of these events. The practice session that started off the season, as well as the qualifying session for the Sprint Unlimited, took place at Daytona 2015 FSE. The practice session, the happy hour session that took place last night, actually took place at Daytona 2007 version 1.5, and here tonight, the Sprint Unlimited taking place at the original in-game Daytona night track, as Anthony McCrory and Tim Walsh working together on the inside line. McCrory now goes to the lead. And I'll tell you why we're racing here at this original track for the Sprint Unlimited, pretty much because I was going to have it where they would have to make mandatory pit stops in Segment 2. I got recorded all the way up to Segment 2. Drivers came down pit road and only about 3 of them left. The rest of them were kind of glitched in their pit boxes not able to move anywhere. So, this is what we're left with, and we're going to see what kind of racing we're going to have here. McCrory still out in front. Logan Wilson now side by side with Lyndon Wright for second. Trent Dunham working with Stephen Pollard the third as they're trying to make their way up there. Right now they have cracked the top 5 in 4th and 5th, trying to now move to 3rd and 4th underneath of Lyndon Wright. Anthony McCurry, a former winner at Daytona, never has won the 500, but he did win a summer Daytona race on fuel mileage. Let's see if he'll lead this lap by about a half a car length, but now Logan Wilson to the inside. Here comes one of the guys that's one of my main guys to watch tonight, and that is Isaac Canepa, the defending winner of this race. Canepa won it back last season. He's back in that same car, new sponsorship, but same car that he won last year. If any driver in this field that's formerly won this event can go back to victory lane, I think it's going to be Canepa tonight. Now Michael Norman looking low, 3 wide for the lead. Is he going to be able to make it? Yes, he is, and he's got some Chevys to back him up. Charles Sanford, Cole Daly, and Dylan Poteet, who was actually, at a time, fastest in happy hour practice. I think he finished out 7th fastest overall last night. Norman going to lead that lap. We'll bring up your ticker for you here. Looks like everybody is still in the draft. Oh, maybe not. I think we're going to report one car has lost the draft. That's Johnny Gardner in the 10. Now, Gardner had the misfortune of starting at the rear of the field for this race. And right now, he's running 183. The rest of the leaders are running 194. So this is not a good start for Johnny Gardner. Whoa! Pichu London through the grass! Off the nose of Charles Jackson! And back up into traffic. Kyle Matthews is collected. Bob Jones, Tim Walsh turned around. Same for Stephen Pollard the third. Brandon Gonzalez, the defending champs on pit road. As James Qualls crosses the line in 13th. Everybody else ahead of him crossing the line. Oh, Matthew Rodriguez. A one-race deal for Gibbs Waltrip Mayonnaise Racing. His night is over. Former winner of this event. Nathan Hudson might have been involved. There is London. There's Gonzalez. Red Bell's on pit road. Trent Dunham's on the pit lane. Oh, man. Johnny Gardner got through it after losing the draft early. Boy. So Michael Norman, the leader here under this, our first caution coming out on lap number 4. And I'm going to be very curious to see what happened there. I saw the 54 of Jackson and the 22 of London down and in the grass heading into turn number 3, and that just had bad news written all over it. So the caution flag is out. Let's take a look at a replay of what happened. Michael Norman paces us under our first caution here of Season 10. Well, let's see if we can pinpoint how this all started. Takes place here somewhere on the back straightaway. And they'd gotten pretty far down into the grass by the time I saw them into turn 3. So this had to have started right here in the middle of the back straightaway. And who's going to be the one to step out of line? Oh! Well, Jackson got a real big run on Henley. And I think he thought about going up the middle. But they were already 3 wide. And he just comes up into the driver's side door of London. London's trying to set up his entrance into 3. He comes down. I don't think he really appreciated Jackson coming up into him. And there you see it. The two of them going to get down into the grass area together. It's too bad that that didn't just get settled out between the two of them. Innocent victims going to get collected as they get the wall back up into traffic. They were running up inside the top 10 at the time. That's why so many innocent victims are going to get collected right here. Kyle Matthews, right there. Red Bell, nowhere to go. Jessica Shelton's in it. Trent Dunham was in it. London's up and over on his roof. There's Matthew Rodriguez back there. Nathan Hudson did indeed get a piece. Stephen Pollard the third, as well as Tim Walsh. Man. There's Bell. There's Matt Rod. One-off drivers here in their only start of the season. And then Bob Jones came to almost a dead stop, and he does get around. There goes Johnny Gardner around the outside as well. Right there in your shot. Not including Pichu London. Those are the drivers really involved in this. And I'm pretty certain a number of them are going to be out of the race as a result. So we could have a very small field heading into the second segment here. As it's a multi-car incident on lap number 4 of segment 1. Well, we'll get the green flag on lap 9 of 15. That should give us a total of 7 laps to go here in the first segment. We still, after that, have 15 more laps to go. A 10-lap segment and then a 5-lap shootout. But there are a number of drivers after that incident that will not be moving on even to the 10-lap segment next. And they include the following: Pichu London, Brandon Gonzalez, Red Bell, Charles Jackson, and Kyle Matthews. Now, Jessica Shelton is a lap down. Trent Dunham is 2 laps down, and Matthew Rodriguez is also 2 laps down to the leaders. And there you see, they are sitting on pit road, trying to get their damage repaired. Now, one thing that they are allowed to do, now they don't have to finish on the lead lap. They just have to finish out the race. They have to be on track by the time that checkered flag comes out. So if none of those 3 retire, then they will move on to the next segment. So we are under yellow flag conditions. The crews are allowed to be able to work on those machines. They will then be able to cycle back onto the lead lap for the next segment. So we know officially 5 drivers are not moving on. The big question mark is out on Matthew Rodriguez, Trent Dunham, and Jessica Shelton on whether or not the crews are going to be able to continue working on that car and the engines do not shut down. Those cars have to still be running. Their engines are still running on pit road. That's all they need to have happen. And they need to still be sitting there on pit road and stuff being done on their cars with the engines running for them to move on to the next segment. Of course, the big question is, will they even be up to speed when we do get to that next segment? Green flag back out here. Michael Norman gets us back underway. Sean Henley trying to do something on the outside. Doesn't look like anybody wants to go with him. Now he gets a friend. His Tweenix Racing teammate, Dylan Popte, going to jump up there with him. Takes these cars a little bit of time to get back up to full speed. Just now hitting 160 coming out of that corner. We know they can reach up to about 196 for their high. And now with the second segment nearing so close, especially after a caution flag and some retirees, how willing are these drivers going to be to go back to work on each other as hard as they've been in the first 5 or so laps of this race? Starting to see Tweenix making its way up here to the front. We got the 31, the 13, and the 57. Hendrick Daly Motorsports with the 5 and the 88. Not really very many other teammates, though, up here at the front able to work with each other. As Jacob Lawler, who was, I think it was, I want to say 3rd fastest in Happy Hour last night. It might have been 4th fastest, though, but he had a very fast Farmers Chevrolet. Now leads the way, a former Daytona 500 winner as well. Ended up winning under very controversial circumstances back in Season 4, but a Daytona 500 win is a Daytona 500 win, no matter what way you slice it. Dougie Shears, the Season 1 Snickers Cup Series champion, coming up the inside line with help from Anthony McCurry and Charles Sanford. 5 to go here in this first segment. Now these drivers will probably also be battling for some track position at the end of this race, because wherever they finish out the first segment is where they're going to start the second segment. So you may see some drivers late in this segment deciding to fall to the back in order to start at the rear for segment 2. May see drivers fighting tooth and nail up here at the front to be able to have a front row starting spot for segment 2. And also, we know that the inside line is the preferred line around this track, so let's say you're running in 4th place, you know you'd be ended up starting on the outside of row 2 for segment 2. You might want to race that guy up ahead of you for what would be an inside row spot in the next segment. Right now, Anthony McCurry would have an inside row spot as he's currently leading this race. Charles Sanford right behind him. Mentioned that McCurry, a former winner at the Summer Daytona race. Charles Sanford, a former Daytona 500 winner. Ended up winning it back in Season 8. Here comes Chris Washer to the inside. Last season, one of Washer's 2 victories came at Talladega Superspeedway, so he knows how to get around restrictor-plate tracks. Logan Wilson right there as well. Lyndon Wright starting to work his way to the front, and our pole sitter, James Qualls, is now starting to get himself back up here closer to the front of the field. As here comes Chris Washer to the bottom, looking for the lead with 3 laps to go. Got a pack of cars up here, probably about maybe 20 cars in this lead pack. All fighting for position, but not nearly the mayhem we saw earlier on in this event. They're racing 3 wide, but it's a roomy 3 wide, which is quite nice to see. Dougie Shears, they're getting a nice run down the back straightaway. Thought about going underneath Lyndon Wright, now is going to. Lyndon, I think, thought maybe Dougie wasn't getting that big of much of a run. I actually thought the same. Lyndon thought about coming back down, but Dougie Shears was there, and Danny Wells was the one that helped push him to the front, but now Danny wants the lead. Whoa! Careful there, guys. Danny Wells, he's been to a victory lane in a Daytona night race back in Season 8, I'm sorry. Ended up winning the summer night race at Daytona. Followed it up the next week by winning at Darlington. Went back-to-back. White flag will be displayed next time around. Looks like the nice little roomy cushions they were giving each other, they're kind of closing up a bit here. They're certainly a little bit anxiety-causing, if you will. So who's going to start on the pole for the second segment? Michael Norman wants to. White flag displayed. They just got to make it around one more time. If they do it without tearing up their equipment, they move into the next round. Still sitting on pit road, Shelton, Dunham, and Matthew Rodriguez. They're trying to get those cars repaired to be able to have them at least race-worthy in the second segment. Michael Norman leading the way. Here comes James Qualls, Cole Daly. Will anyone have a challenge for Norman? Qualls did have Daly as drafting partner. Now he's got to pick up Joshua Michaels on the inside line. I think he's too far back, though. Michael Norman is going to, from the 18th starting spot, work his way to the front after 15 laps, and he'll start on the pole for segment number 2. Danny Wells will start second, Qualls in third. Fourth will be Michaels, and the top 5 will be completed by Cole Daly. So 2 drivers who started up in the top 6 at the start of segment 1 will start up at the front in the top 6 of segment 2, them being Qualls and Daly. So the standings, I believe, are official. No, they are not. You're still waiting for the damaged machine of Stephen Pollard III, I believe, to still cross the start-finish line. A number of drivers way back, damaged machines, Hudson, Walsh, Young. Now Shelton, Dunham, and Rodriguez, they are still on pit road. Now the one thing that they've got to hope is that their cars are going to be allowed on track by NNSCRA depending on how much damage they sustained from that incident. So, as you take a look at the full finish results from segment 1, 5 drivers officially will not be moving on. Pichu London, Brandon Gonzalez, Red Bell, Charles Jackson, and Kyle Matthews. They are done for the evening. Jury's still out on Shelton, Dunham, and Rodriguez, but from 23rd on up to the segment 1 winner, they will be in segment 2, and they will be starting in the positions that they finished. So, don't go away. After this red flag, driver's going to get some 4 Goodyear Eagles, get filled up with fuel, and maybe repair a little bit of damage on their machines for some of those guys involved in the first caution. Then we'll be right back at it for a 10-lap segment, segment number 2. But first, this video.
commotion, cause they are so awesome. Narwhals swimming in the ocean. Pretty big and pretty wide.
Check out Sprint's Unlimited plan. Unlimited data, talk, and text for just $50 a month. Switch now and we'll even buy out your current contract. Visit us online or at a Sprint store today.
So we're getting ready to go here in segment 2. It'll be a 10-lap segment. Caution flags will count. And it'll be the same as it was in segment 1, transferring to segment 2. As long as you are running and are deemed up to speed, you are able to continue. So Trent Dunham, Jessica Shelton, they have been cleared to race here in this second segment. Matthew Rodriguez, however, was not cleared. Too much damage, and NNSCRA told him to take it behind the wall. He is out, along with the 5 others that were out of the race after the big wreck. So 6 drivers total, not moving here into segment 2. Here we go, Michael Norman won segment 1. He'll start on the pole for segment 2. That is now green and underway. So Matthew Rodriguez joins Red Bell, Pichu London, Brandon Gonzalez, Kyle Matthews, and Charles Jackson back behind the wall. And now we're left with a total of 25 drivers still in the hunt for this. And I think now it's going to be more of a sense of urgency for these guys to get to the front, especially nearing the end of this 10-lap segment, because, as I said, caution flags will count for this segment, but in the final segment, the 5-lap shootout, there are no yellow flags. Oh boy, Cold Alley running wide in that corner. James Qualls trying to tuck up behind him, almost had to try and force it 4 wide. Fortunately, we're settled out here. That was a little testy for my money. Is at the line, I think it was Norman just barely over Sosnowski, but Sosnowski will have the advantage heading into this turn 1. And Dylan Poteet working there with Bob Jones. There's a couple of former Sprint Unlimited winners. Dylan Poteet winning the Sprint Unlimited in Season 7. And Bob Jones winning the Sprint Unlimited in Season 8. Sosnowski, I believe, won it in Season... Well, I want to say Season 3, but it might have been Season 2. Leading this way. And how would it be for Kyle Sosnowski? A one-off race, his final NNSCRA start, to be able to win this and be the first and only 2-time winner of the Sprint Unlimited. We've got Dylan Poteet right in his back bumper. Of course, Dylan Poteet has not been to victory lane in a Snickers Cup Series event since Dover of Season 8. Oh man, I don't like the way that they're racing back here. Oh, thank you very much, Anthony McCurry, for finding a lineup in front of Chris Washer. That was a 4-wide situation that almost went south in a big, big hurry. Oh no. Nope, they're going to try it again. Tim Walsh thought about 4 wide. He backed out wisely. We're still in 3-wide formation, but this is getting a little too close for comfort. And look who there. Trent Dunham, Jessica Shelton. I guess NNSCRA knew what they were doing when they said, hey, you guys are still out on the track. You're still up to speed. It's Trent Dunham, Jessica Shelton. They're working their way to the front. They're now just in, well, Trent Dunham just inside the top 10. Jessica Shelton just outside the top 10. Now trying to work her way into the top 10, going 3 wide with Dunham and Logan Wilson. Well, it is all Kyle Sosnowski out in front. He's done a good job of getting out in front and staying out in front. Here comes his teammate, Tim Walsh in the 15. First time we've actually seen Tim right up here at the front of the field. He's kind of been hanging back for a good portion of this Unlimited. Now it gives Walter Mayonnaise Racing drivers 1-2. This is good for these two as well, because Gibbs Walter Mayonnaise Racing came in with quite an advantage, 4 drivers, and 2 of them are gone. 2 of them did not transfer in. Charles Jackson and Matthew Rodriguez eliminated in the first segment. So to have the 11 to 15 run up here at the front, that's pretty good for that Toyota team. Now Lyndon Wright going to move to the inside line, and he's going to go to the lead. Here comes Johnny Gardner. This is the first time we've actually seen Johnny up front all night as well in the Valvoline number 10 Chevrolet. Isaac Canepa, the defending winner of this event, working his way back up. And I believe Dylan Young, I thought I saw back there, is working his way up. We know he got damaged from that earlier incident. So far, we've run 5 laps, coming to complete the 5th lap of 10. And we have not yet had a yellow flag here in segment 2, which honestly doesn't surprise me, as this race winds down. the want to be able to make it to that final round, it just grows and grows for them. So they're racing hard, there's no doubt about that, but they're not racing nearly as aggressive as they were before. That could change, though, with about 2 or 3 to go, because if you have the choice in a 5-lap shootout at Daytona to start at the front or at the back, probably 99% of the time you're going to choose to try and start at the front, ahead of where all the wrecking and chaos and hard racing is going to take place. It's Bob Jones to the front, Dylan Young moves to second, Joshua Michaels sliding into third, and there's Trent Dunham into fourth place, as Dylan Young going to work to the inside with Joshua Michaels for the lead. Michael Norman, who started on the pole position for the second segment, slipped back, now working his way back up to the front along with Danny Wells. Starting to see Tweenix make their way up here towards the front now, 4 and the 1. We saw Dylan Poteet up here earlier, and then of course Logan Wilson in the 13. I saw him free-falling to the back of the pack, but we may see him up here before this segment's over as Joshua Michaels drops down in front of the Chevrolet entourage of Norman, Wells, and Qualls. Joshua Michaels has just about driven every manufacturer in this series. He's driven a Dodge, he's driven a Chevy, now in a BMW. And I'm trying to remember, there was another ride he was in, I can't remember what the manufacturer was. No, it wasn't. It was a Toyota. It was the 82 Red Bull Toyota. That's what it was. And right now, he's got about a 3-car length advantage over everybody else, which is not good at Daytona, Talladega, and those restrictor plate tracks. That's what you call the freight train area. The field's going to catch your draft, come right up onto your back bumper, and you're literally going a few miles per hour slower than they are. He's only going 192 out of the corner. I guarantee you Michael Norman, Dylan Poteet are going about probably 196. No, actually they're going about the same speed. Well, that's surprising. And now Poteet goes to the inside for the second position. Everybody is still up here in this lead draft. Nobody has fallen out of the lead draft at all. And so all 25 drivers that are still in this hunt, it looks like they will all still be in the hunt in that 5-lap shootout. Question is, though, who is going to start where? Michaels trying to make a case for himself to start on point. Dylan Poteet and Anthony McCurry working together to try and run him down. Now here comes Cole Daly. He's got a rear decklet full of Chris Washer, and now Joshua Michaels has to play some defense as here comes everybody from second on back right to his back door. Daly now dives down low, going underneath of Dylan Poteet. As it's the white flag displayed, one more lap around, can all 25 drivers make it back around without wrecking each other? Who's going to start in the front row for that final segment? Ooh, man! Logan Wilson trying to draft with his teammate Poteet. Almost turned him. And look at here, Stephen Pollard III. Where's that 06 come from? The Volkswagen Jetta coming from out of nowhere. Following in the tire tracks of Cole Daly. Now he wants second place. Not certain why he'd want that, though, in all honesty, because second puts you on the outside of the front row. If he was running there in third, he'd be on the inside of row 2, but instead he decides to bypass 4th position, so it'll be a BMW and a Volkswagen Jetta on the front row for the final segment. Michaels wins segment 2, Pollard second, Daly, Sosnowski, and Lawler with a surprising comeback there into the 5th position. Some good racing, a lot of lead changes, but nobody wrecking it up in this segment. The standing's already official. The entire field finished only separated by 1.3 seconds. And it'll be Michaels who will start on the front row alongside Stephen Pollard III for the final segment, the 5-lap shootout to decide this season's Sprint Unlimited winner. Don't go away, folks. Drivers will come down pit road. They'll get 4 Goodyear Eagles, get filled up with fuel, and get ready for a duel to finish out tonight's event.
With every second that ticks by,
the future is running out.
Newton, It's not mine.
What's not yours?
The pen. I've never...
What if there was a place,
Dad, I just need you to look at this. Does it look weird?
a secret place, where nothing was impossible?
You're not saying this!
Casey, stop it! Go away! Did you see the dog?
Cool. I want you to take me there.
Take you where?
Where'd you get this? Who are you, kid? What you saw was a place where the best and the brightest people in the world came together to actually change it. We've been looking for someone like you for a very long time.
Why? Did something happen over there? Something bad?
They followed you here?
Who?
Come on! Get in!
How is this a good idea?
There's one way in. They know we're coming, so follow me.
All the people, why me?
He thinks you can fix the future. Hang on!
You wanted to see Tomorrowland. Here it comes.
Alright then, boys and girls, it's time to find out whether we're going to have our first ever 2-time Sprint Unlimited winner, or will we go 9 for 9 in different drivers taking the win in this race. For the final time, we will have a Sprint Unlimited winner in the Snickers Cup Series. Who is it going to be? It's the BMW of Joshua Michaels on point, the Volkswagen Jetta of Stephen Pollard III in second, the Chevy of Cole Daly third, the Toyota of Kyle Sosnowski, all the manufacturers represented at the front. Here we go, green flag is waving, final 5-lap segment, caution free, here in the Sprint Unlimited. Those guys at the back, they are going to be fighting as hard as they can to get to the front as quickly as they can. As Joshua Michaels does pretty similar to what he did in the segment 2, got out to an early lead, but we saw that kind of came back to haunt him a little bit at the end of that second segment. But if he can get them racing for second, Michaels might have a shot at winning this thing. Maybe not. They're running it down. Whoa! Contact there between Stephen Pollard III and Jacob Lawler. Lawler wanted to help his teammate. Pollard tried to break it up, and now it looks like Lawler can't even help his teammate. Daly slips up the track. Lawler now to the inside, side by side between the Hendrick Daly Motorsports teammates. And now look at Logan Wilson with Anthony McCurry. They're going to make it 3 wide for second. Big run through the tri-oval. Trent Dunham in that mix there, James Qualls, they're really starting to spread it out now, and Logan Wilson gets a big run to the inside, they're 4 wide behind him. McCurry gets turned by Trent Dunham, right up into Dylan Poteet. No caution flag though, no caution will wave. They still gotta race it back to the checkered flag, which isn't gonna be for another 3+ laps. Drivers involved, there's Poteet, there's McCurry, Sosnowski, Lyndon Wright, Sanford might have been involved, Ryan Acosta, Dougie Shears has lost the draft, Shelton on the apron there with Dylan Young and Isaac Canepa. She's got to get back up on track here very quickly, or else she's going to be in trouble. Still 3 wide as she runs the apron, but they've lost touch with this front pack. Front pack here holds about maybe 7-8 cars. Logan Wilson leads the way. Norman into second. Now Tim Walsh looking for that position with help from Stephen Pollard III on the inside line. Little more than 2 laps remaining. And look in your shot. Right there's the drivers that might settle this out unless Bob Jones can reel those guys in. Joshua Michaels right there too. I think Michaels might be the last guy in contention for this. Trent Dunham trying to reel them in. Save for Nathan Hudson, save for Bob Jones, but they may run out of time. Then again, it's still a little ways to go. There still might be an opportunity, but it's going to have to happen quick. Walsh now, he steps out of line as there's the damaged Poteet machine heading for pit road. Walsh to the inside, doesn't get the lead this time. 2 to go here in the Sprint Unlimited. Walsh, that he may have a challenge. 3 wide as Stephen Pollard III gets a big run. No, has to tuck back in line behind the 5-Hour Energy Toyota. But there's Daly, there's Michaels, there's Qualls. I'm looking to see if Trent Dunham's caught the tail end of this draft. He might have. There's Lawler, he might have dropped back to help Trent. Trent, I think, is caught up. I think Trent's in the draft, but he's really got to catch up to this group if he's going to have anything to say about it here on this last lap. Now Walsh dives down to the inside, blocks the advances of the oncoming Cole Daly. Daly's got James Qualls with him. Can Qualls, in a total of, what would it be? It'd be a total of, well, I'm blanking out right now. Never mind, 30 laps. In a total of 30 laps, can Qualls go coast to coast? Start on the pole, go to the win. White flag was just displayed. Here we go. Trent Dunham's now in this lead pack. Nathan Hudson's caught up into it as well. As now they're drafting, trying to run down Tim Walsh. Big run for Qualls. He's got Michaels with him. Also Jacob Lawler. Can they run him down? Now Michaels looks like he might peel out of line. Nope, still stays in line behind Qualls. He's shoving him down the back straightaway. Now here comes Qualls. Crossover to the inside. Blocked by Tim Walsh. Can't do it. Left the door open and Qualls made a hole. Qualls to the inside, Walsh to the outside. Who's gonna get it coming to the stripe? Will Michael step out of line perhaps? No, he won't. James Qualls goes coast to coast, and he'll pick up the Sprint Unlimited win here in Season 10. We are 9 for 9 as James Qualls picks up his first career Sprint Unlimited victory. Man! Joshua Michaels literally shoved James Qualls to that win, and Walsh went down there to block, and he had him blocked, but James Qualls was not going to be denied. I don't know if there might have been some contact between Qualls and Walsh that might have moved Walsh up the hill. But whatever the case, James Qualls had that momentum. He had to go somewhere with it. He found that little opening, and he made sure it stuck. And James Qualls, he started on the pole at the beginning of segment 1, had the fastest lap to qualify himself to the inside of the front row. And James Qualls, at the end of 30 laps, 3 segments, is going to go to the Sprint Unlimited victory lane here at Daytona. What a win for him. Had crazy stuff going on there at the beginning, that big wreck. Kyle Sosnowski out of the race. Dylan Poteet 3 laps down. Lyndon Wright 3 laps down. McCrory actually continued after we saw him go straight up into Poteet. Not even going to bother to look back at a replay. We saw most of it happen in real time, and it really made no difference into the outcome of this race. So Qualls picks up the victory. Joshua Michaels second. Matter of fact, Qualls hasn't been to victory lane since Season 8, so this is a great momentum booster, I think, for that 70 team. Walsh almost had it. Almost had it, but he's going to settle for third. Jacob Lawler fourth, and Michael Norman will finish in the 5th position. Then it was Nathan Hudson. Logan Wilson was the highest finishing of the one-off drivers, finishing 7th here tonight. Cole Daly in 8th, 9th Trent Dunham, and Stephen Pollard the 3rd. I swear, this is like the... I think it's like the 3rd time this weekend that the number 10 has been mentioned in the same sentence as his. He started 10th for the Unlimited. I think he finished 10th in one of the segments earlier, and now he finishes 10th overall in tonight's event. Bob Jones, 11th. Jessica Shelton, a great comeback for both her and Trent Dunham, 9th and 12th here tonight after both of them were caught up in the only caution that we had here tonight in segment 1. Danny Wells, didn't hear a whole lot out of Danny all night, but he'll finish 13th. Dylan Young in 14th. Sean Henley 15th. Chris Washer was in 16th, and Isaac Canepa in 17th. They were the only ones that were really even close to each other. They were all still separated by almost 5 seconds. And then drivers that were caught up pretty much in that incident and finished way back: Johnny Gardner in 18th, Charles Sanford 19th, Ryan Acosta 20th, Dougie Shears 21st, Anthony McCurry in 22nd. The rest of the drivers either finished out of the race or were on pit road at the end of this race. Kyle Sosnowski finished out of the race in 23rd, Lyndon Wright and Dylan Poteet in 24th and 25th. 5th. So, our first big event of the season is now over. James Qualls joins the ranks of 8 other drivers as a Snickers Cup Series Sprint Unlimited winner. Now everybody shifts gears and they look ahead to the big one, the Daytona 500, as we will be having pole day qualifying. We will also be having the Budweiser duels, and then of course we will be racing it up for the 10th and final Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. James Qualls, a lot of eyes are going to be looking his direction as a possibility to maybe go for a Daytona sweep. You never know. Hope you guys will tune in for all the events we got coming up here as we continue on Daytona Speed Weeks here on the NNSCRA Sports Channel, offline racing at its best. I was attacked by the Mafia and a serial killer, and I was haunted by the Jester. I died.
Oh, what?
Whoa!
What?
The arson.
What?
The arson.
Whoa!
Stop it, a whammy, a big whammy. An arsonist. The arsonist won.
We can lick the tears. You think he's good? He doesn't know you. Where you going? Can I do now?